All right, let's talk about something that runs basically our entire world, but we almost never see it. It's this invisible architecture. It's so huge, so complex, that we just take it for granted. But as we're about to find out, it might be a lot more fragile than any of us realize.
So seriously, take a second and think about this. What if the internet just, poof, vanished? I'm not talking about a spotty Wi-Fi signal. I mean everything. Gone. No emails, no GPS, no online banking, no streaming. The entire digital heartbeat of our society just stops. What would really happen?
Well, this is what happens. We're talking about $11 billion. That's the price tag for just a single 24-hour internet outage in the US alone. I mean, that number is so big, it almost doesn't feel real, right? But behind that abstract number is a total catastrophic breakdown of the systems we rely on every single day. Okay, so let's kick this off. First, we really have to get our heads around the sheer scale of this whole thing, economically speaking. This isn't just about how convenient it is to order a pizza. No, this is about the absolute engine driving the entire global economy. And this isn't just a US problem. Far from it. This vulnerability is absolutely global. Just look at these numbers. Every single hour the internet goes down, the US is out nearly $500 million. China, right behind, losing over $400 million an hour. The UK is taking a hit of over $130 million every hour. The costs are, well, they're astronomical. Right, so the key thing to get here is that we are not talking about the annoyance of your favorite app not loading. We're talking about the absolute core infrastructure of modern life. Think about it. Our banking systems have been completely rebuilt around this connectivity. Trillions of dollars in trade depend on data being transferred instantly. Heck, even the smallest local shops now rely on internet-connected systems for payments and inventory. So, how does a massive number on a slide actually turn into a real-world crisis? Because this stuff isn't hypothetical anymore. We just got a terrifying preview of what this kind of failure actually looks like. The date was July 19th, 2024. A simple software update at one single cybersecurity firm, CrowdStrike, accidentally triggered a global IT meltdown. It was just this stark reminder that in our connected world, one single point of failure can send ripples across the entire planet. And the airline industry got hit hard. I mean, in just 3 days, we saw nearly 17,000 flights canceled around the world. That's double the normal rate. Huge airlines like Delta and United were just paralyzed. And these aren't just statistics, right? This was thousands upon thousands of people stranded, sleeping on airport floors, their lives completely upended, all because a single piece of software went wrong. And it wasn't just an isolated thing in the skies. The day before, the SWIFT banking network, the system that moves huge amounts of money, had its own outage. This wasn't about catching a flight. This was about your money. We're talking high-value transactions, people trying to close on a house, suddenly delayed for hours. It just goes to show you how deep this vulnerability runs, from travel to our finances. So why? Why does this happen? How does one little glitch at one company bring global aviation to a screeching halt? Well, the answer comes from systems science, and it explains exactly how these big interconnected networks can just fall apart. It has a name. It's called a cascading failure. And the idea is actually pretty simple. In any complex system where everything is connected, if one small part fails, it can start a chain reaction. It's like dominoes falling, knocking over other parts, which then knock over even more parts, until the whole system is in trouble. And this visualizes it perfectly. Imagine each of these circles is a critical system: a bank, an airline, a power grid. The lines, those are all the ways they depend on each other. A cascading failure isn't just one domino hitting the next one in a neat line. It's a break in this web that sends shockwaves through everything it's connected to. And that, right there, is exactly what we saw. The CrowdStrike outage wasn't theory. It was a real-world textbook case of a cascading failure. One tiny break spread through the network's dependencies and created absolute chaos on a global scale. Now, this all sounds incredibly grim, I know. But these events have also been a massive wake-up call. So that leads to the big question. How do we build a digital safety net? How do we make these critical systems tougher, more resilient? So one of the biggest ideas is what's called infrastructure diversity. Right now, our internet mostly runs on the ground through things like fiber optic cables and cell towers. The problem is, they're all vulnerable to the same local problems. But satellite connections offer a totally different pathway. I mean, the main hardware is literally in space. It's completely separate from the ground network, which makes it a fantastic backup. And here's how that actually plays out in a crisis. Companies like Viasat and Televira are already setting this up for places like hospitals. When the main network goes down, bam, a virtual switch flips automatically. A satellite dish on the roof takes over the connection, and critical things, like the hospital's phone lines, stay up and running without a single hiccup. It's a seamless and potentially life-saving failsafe. Of course, the bigger lesson here is about building in resilience at every single level. Industries like aviation and finance are now under a lot of pressure to invest in redundant systems, to stop relying on just one IT provider for everything, and to actually create and practice detailed response plans, so they're ready for the next time this inevitably happens. So as we look ahead, we just have to accept a fundamental truth about our world today. Our dependence on this digital infrastructure is absolute. And you know what? It's only going to grow. Let's circle back to these numbers one last time, because they really hammer home the stakes. This isn't about inconvenience. We are talking about an $11 billion blow to the US economy in one day. And look, the other major world economies aren't far behind. We have literally built the entire global economy on top of this digital foundation. It's the lifeblood connecting more than 5.4 billion people. Every day, more of our critical services, more of our commerce, more of our actual lives moves online. So the real takeaway is that this fragility problem and the need for a solution, it just gets more and more urgent every single day. Look, we live in a world that runs on this incredibly complex, interconnected system that we almost never think about until it breaks. The events of July 2024 were a warning shot. So the real question we all need to be asking ourselves is this: are we actually prepared for the day it really fails?